And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you're going to make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time on Spreaker Radio, Roar 1776 Radio, Live 365 Radio, and MyCast Live Radio. I also broadcast on 405 Media Radio from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific Time, in addition to countless terrestrial stations worldwide. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows. You can also access my show live right from my website each day simply by clicking on that little icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. That's where I get all the emails I deal with here on the show. And you can call into my show if you want to comment or just engage me in conversation about anything. You can dial directly into the studio at 909-545-6516. Again, it's 909-545-6516. Now, on today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Today, my expert contributor is John Matthews with his series, The Conservative Syndicate, and I can imagine what we're going to be talking about today. And my special guest, Sean Lefebvre. He's going to be talking healthcare on his Geared for Wellness series. And you know what? We may just get into 100 other different conversations. God only knows when we get to it. But right now, I want you to stand by for news. But first off, I want you to know that at 4:02 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 102 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And that's going to be on its way down from 105 degrees on its way to 71. Thank goodness. You know what? I can't wait for that to end. But right now, let me get to what I promised you. Let's talk about the news. You know, DNA proves President Harding fathered a child out of wedlock. Yep. DNA testing all but confirmed Thomas Jefferson slept with his slave Sally Hemings. Now it's rewriting another lurid chapter in presidential history, this one from the Roaring '20s. Genetic analysis has proved that President Warren G. Harding fathered a child with long-rumored mistress Nan Britton, according to Ancestry DNA and DNA Testing Division of Ancestry.com. Britton set off a jazz-age sex scandal when she went public with her tale of forbidden love in the White House, boldly publishing her story in a 1927 best-selling memoir, The President's Daughter. But historians long questioned her claims, and Harding's defenders vilified her as a liar for nearly 90 years. Based on DNA from Britton's grandson and descendants of Harding, the results are 99.9% certain, Ancestry.com said. The findings were first reported Thursday, or today, by the New York Times. The child born of their union, Elizabeth Ann Blessing, was the only known offspring of the 29th president. She died in 2005. Britton died in 1991. Boy, I'll tell you what. These guys just had themselves a blast, didn't they? Yeah, at least it seems that way, doesn't it? Well, you know what? Next up, let's talk about a truck bomb targeting Shiites kills 67 at a Baghdad market. In one of the deadliest single attacks in post-war Baghdad, a truck bomb shattered a popular fruit and vegetable market in a teeming Shiite neighborhood today, killing 67 people and wounding more than 150 others. Militants from the self-described Islamic State claimed responsibility for the bombing that incinerated much of the Jumeirah market in the district of Sadr City. The dead and wounded were carried away in blood-soaked blankets and garbage bags amid the charred and twisted stalls and spilled produce. The Sunni extremist group, which holds about a third of Iraq and neighboring Syria, said it targeted a gathering place for Shiites and vowed more attacks. It often attacks military checkpoints or predominantly Shiite areas with the goal of undermining confidence in the government's security efforts. Wow. You know what? Death for the sake of death, I guess, huh? Well, And it doesn't end there. Death toll rises to 50 in that massive blast at a Chinese port. The death toll from the fiery explosions at a warehouse of hazardous chemicals climbed today to 50, and the Chinese government sent experts to the shattered and smoldering port to assess any environmental dangers from the spectacular blasts. More than 700 people were injured and dozens were reported missing in explosions shortly before midnight Wednesday evening that demolished a workers' dormitory, tossed shipping containers as if they were toy blocks, and turned a fleet of 1,000 new cars into scorched metal husks. Windows were shattered for miles around the shock waves, or actually around by the shock waves. There was no indication of what caused the disaster in one of China's busiest ports, and authorities tried to keep a tight rein over information by keeping reporters well away from the site. Social media users complained their posts about it were deleted. More than 1,000 firefighters were sent to the mostly industrial zone in Tianjin, a petrochemical processing hub, about 75 miles east of Beijing. Tianjin is the 10th largest port in the world by container volume, according to the World Shipping Council, and the 7th biggest in China. It handles vast amounts of metal, ore, coal, steel, cars, and crude oil. You know what? It just keeps going. Well, you know what? Life in Sadr City, we are living in a state of fear. In this torrid Baghdad summer, Karim Kadim, his wife and 5 children have been sleeping in their living room where the air conditioning works best and often muffles noise from the street. But nothing could drown out the thunderclap that roused the family about 5:45 a.m. today. Even Kadim's son, Hussein, who takes out his hearing aid when he goes to bed, was awakened by the explosion. Kadim, a Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer for the Associated Press, raced to the roof to see what had happened. The Associated Press video cameraman Ali Abdul Hassan Jabbar, who lives nearby, called to say that the explosion was the Jamila market. His own 3 children had been thrown from their beds in the blast. So Kadim threw on some clothes and raced to the door with his camera, as he has done so many times before. Wow. And it just keeps right on going, doesn't it? Yeah, sure does. And you know what? And there isn't any good news in the news today. How about this? National challenge of leaking mines dwarfs the Colorado spill. You know, it will take many years and many millions of dollars simply to manage and not even remove the toxic wastewater from the abandoned mine that unleashed a 100-mile-long torrent of heavy metals into western rivers, experts said today. Plugging Colorado's Gold King mine could simply lead to an eventual explosion of poisonous water elsewhere. So the safest solution, they say, would be to install a treatment plant that would indefinitely clean the water from Gold King and 3 other nearby mines. It would cost millions of dollars and do nothing to contain the thousands of other toxic streams that are permanent legacy of mining across the nation. Federal authorities first suggested a treatment plan for Gold King more than a decade ago, but local officials and owners of nearby mine were reluctant to embrace a federally sponsored cleanup. Go figure, right? Now, don't go away, because when we come back, I'm going to tell you an unbelievable story about an 11-year-old girl who gives birth to another little girl in Paraguay. I'll tell you all about it right after these messages. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And as I said, we still got lots of news, and this is almost just horrible to believe that an 11-year-old gives birth to a girl in Paraguay. Well, you know what? An 11-year-old girl who was denied an abortion after being raped gave birth today, the culmination of a case that put a spotlight on child rape in this poor South American nation and drew criticism from human rights groups. Elizabeth Torrales, a lawyer for the girl's mother, told the Associated Press that the minor gave birth to a baby girl via cesarean section in a Red Cross hospital in Asunción, Paraguay's capital. She said, reported there were no complications and both the mother and baby were resting. The baby doesn't yet have a name, said Torrales, who added that her client and the girl's grandmother had requested custody of the infant. Hospital director Mario Villalba told reporters outside the hospital that the birth took about 35 minutes. She said the girl would remain in the hospital for 3 or 4 days, like any other patient who has had a cesarean. She said the minor was currently accompanied by her grandmother, but declined to give more details. The girl was allegedly raped and impregnated by her stepfather when she was 10 years old. The stepfather had been arrested and is awaiting trial. The girl's mother has been charged with negligence. You know what? We got to send them all off to Egypt and see if, not Egypt, to send them off to Iran and see if we can't get the IS to take care of these two people. The mother requested an abortion for her daughter, but the government refused to allow it, drawing praise from religious groups, but criticism from many human rights organizations, including UN officials. Paraguay bans abortion except when a mother's life is in danger. At the time, the girl was 5 months pregnant, and local health officials said she appeared to be in fine health. In a statement today, Amnesty International said it was glad the girl came through the birth all right, but said the fact that she did not die does not excuse the human rights violations that she suffered at the hands of the Paraguayan authorities. Boy, hear. I could go on and talk about that for a long time. I think I will talk about it when we get with our own Sean Lefebvre in the next segment. See what he has to say about that. And I have no idea what he may or may not say, but we'll see what goes on. Well, speaking of that in health law sign-ups keep growing. Uninsured rate declines. Nearly 1 million people signed up for health insurance under President Barack Obama's law, even after the official enrollment season ended. helping push the share of uninsured Americans below 10% and underscoring how hard it could be for the Republicans to dismantle the program. The Health and Human Services Department said today that 943,934 new customers have signed up since open enrollment ended on February the 22nd, benefiting from special enrollment periods keyed to life changes in other circumstances. It's a flexible feature, also common to the coverage people get through work. Sign-up opportunities for those experiencing changes, such as having a baby or losing a job that came with health insurance, are available year-round through healthcare.gov and its state-run counterparts. The steadily growing number of Americans with coverage under the 5-year-old law could make it more difficult for Republicans to repeal Obamacare, even if they win the White House and keep control of Congress in the next year's elections. Several of the GOP presidential candidates have insisted they would scrap the law, but they would face the prospect of stripping millions of their insurance. Republican lawmakers also talk of replacing the Affordable Care Act, but the GOP has yet to rally behind any alternative. Well, Thursday's latest numbers are the first since the Supreme Court upheld health insurance subsidies in all 50 states, turning back a challenge from the law's opponents that would have undermined coverage across much of our country. Well, how about this? Air pollution killing 4,000 in China a day. That's what a U.S. study finds. Air pollution is killing about 4,000 people in China a day, accounting for 1 in 6 premature deaths in the world's most populous country, a new study finds. Physicists at the University of California, Berkeley calculated that about 1.6 million people in China die each year from heart, lung, and stroke problems because of incredibly polluted air, especially small particles of haze. Earlier studies put the annual Chinese air pollution death toll at 1 to 2 million. That's a year. 1 to 2 million. But this is the first to use newly released Chinese air monitoring figures. The study released today blamed emissions from the burning of coal, but for electricity and heating homes, and both for electricity and heating homes. The study, to be published in the journal PLOS 1, uses real air measurements and then computer model calculations that estimate heart, lung, and stroke deaths for different types of pollutants. Wow. Can you imagine 2 million people a day, a year dying because of pollution? What do you say about that? What do you say about this? Gay couples sue Florida over names on birth certificates. The first couple to be issued a same-sex marriage license in Florida sued the state today, saying that the Bureau of Vital Statistics still won't allow hospitals to list both same-sex parents on birth certificates. Kathy Pareto and Carla Arguello of Miami filed a lawsuit in federal court in Tallahassee. Pareto and Arguello had twins on August the 6th. 2 other married same-sex couples also are part of the lawsuit. In the hours after giving birth, Pareto said she and her wife were told by the hospital records manager that both of their names couldn't be on the birth certificate. Carly and I made the decision to expand our family together, Pareto said. We went through the whole family, the whole fertility process together. The whole thing has been a unified front as a married couple. To then be told I couldn't be on my own child's birth certificate, it was degrading. Yeah, you can say that again. Well, don't go away, because when we come back from these brief messages, I'm going to talk about the IRS loses. The first case up, issuance of a Form 1099 does not prove that the income was actually paid. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live, and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry and a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. You know what? It just sends chills up and down my spine. Should yours too. Let's get right on it. First up is issuance of a Form 1099 does not prove that the income on it was ever paid. Let me tell you about it. Eric Allman worked on a construction job for Albert McMickle at $12.50 an hour from mid-November until early January. Now, McMickle then filed a 1099 form saying that he had paid $3,497 to Allman. When the IRS tried to collect tax on that amount, Allman protested that he had been paid no more than $1,800. The dispute went to the tax court, and this is what the judge's decision was. A 1099 does not by itself prove payment of income. Here, Allman credibly testified that he had worked 35 hours a week and took time off for Thanksgiving and Christmas, leading to the $1,800 number. The IRS produced no evidence supporting the larger number, so Allman's lower number was accepted. You know what? The IRS knows that the 1099 is not proof, and here's the obligation. If you have tax deductions, you have to prove it. But if it's income, and the IRS says you've got income, they've got to prove you got that income, and a 1099 report is not enough. They've got to prove that you actually received the income. Now, next case, The IRS conceded. Now, you know what I feel about that. They would never concede if they weren't pretty sure they could not prevail in tax court, and that's what's going on right here. In this case, amounts paid into an IRA are restorative and not excess contributions. Let me tell you about it. A woman's IRA was depleted when her investment advisor made improper investments for it and made personal use of her IRA funds. When the wrongdoing was discovered, she sued him, his employer, and related parties. The suits and threatened suits resulted in her receiving awards and settlement amounts, and she deposited them into her IRA. She then asked the IRS for a ruling that these were not prohibited excess contributions to the IRA. So the IRS said, well, the payments compensated for loss of IRA value due to wrongdoing, so they are restorative and not subject to normal contribution limits. That's the way it ought to be. Sure. Here's a really interesting one for you. The IRS lost this too. A yacht captain is entitled to foreign earned income exclusion. You don't think that's a small thing. This is a big deal. It's $100,000, folks. Myron Struck was captain of a private yacht that sailed primarily in foreign waters. Now, he owned a house in California, claimed the property tax homeowner's exemption for that house, and kept bank accounts and a driver's license in California. When Struck claimed the foreign earned income exclusion for his salary, the IRS said that he had no tax home abroad, so he wasn't qualified for it. He went to court for some justice, and this is what the judge said. Struck lived on the yacht and rented out the California home, so he did not have a home in the U.S. The yacht's log showed that he was in foreign waters for 330 days during the year, so he meets the tax code's requirement and receives the exclusion, which means no tax on that $100,000. Now, you got to love that, boy. I know I do. Okay, you've heard me say it before. Wouldn't you like to be a fly on the wall when the IRS is making decisions? Well, that's what this segment's all about. Inside the IRS, this is when they're trying to make those, we'll call them decisions, you know. Anyway, let me get right to it. Did you know that when you're making a deal with the IRS, make sure that it's in writing when you're dealing with the IRS? Now, creating a written record is very important if you later need to prove either that you took a certain action or that someone at the IRS was supposed to remedy a problem. Let me give you an example. Let's just say you filed an amended return reflecting a refund but did not receive a check within 90 days. What do? You send the IRS a letter setting forth the date that you filed and amended the return and requesting that it process the return and send you a check. Also, in the letter, ask the IRS to confirm that it received the amended return. Failure to create such a written record, especially if you did not send the return by certified or registered mail, will make it difficult, matter of fact, even impossible, to prove that you actually filed a return should the deadline for filing pass without the refund showing up. So you want to be careful about these things, honestly, very careful. Okay, up next is tax consequences when money is stolen or embezzled. You know, generally, any gain realized as a result of unlawful conduct is required to be included in the gross income of the person who stole or embezzled the money, even though the money must be returned to its owner. When a person has unrestricted control of money that does not belong to him or her, that money will be subject to a federal income tax. Let me give you an example. A person who works as a bookkeeper and writes checks to himself without the knowledge or consent of his employer. The amount of the checks will be added to that person's taxable income. If the money is later returned, a deduction may be available, but not necessarily. So you want to be really, really careful when you're doing those things. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to be with our own Sean LaFave, and I'm not real sure what we're going to be talking about, but it should be really interesting. So don't go away. We'll be right back. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:32 p.m. Pacific time. It is currently, now wait till you get this, it is currently 102 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Now, let me tell you this one. That's down from 108 degrees, which was the high here today, and it's on its way to 71. Now, guess which one I'm looking forward to. You got that right. I think we could go outside and actually cook at 108 degrees out here. Speaking of cooking, we've been cooking all week with my good buddy Sean LaFave. It's been some fantastic segments. If you missed them, you can go to Spreaker.com and pick up our archives. You'll be glad you did that. Just some fantastic shows with Sean. Speaking of Sean, let's not waste any more time. Let's just get his butt in here and see what we can talk about. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean LaFave, in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Hey, Sean, welcome back. You know what? Did you get the ring I sent you?
I did finally, yes, Robert. I'm totally committed to you. So definitely yes.
As it should be.
We're gonna have to change our Facebook status now, to make it official.
Hey, listen, I was reading the news today, and I was just flabbergasted, and I didn't know if you got a chance to see it or if it might have been something. I go deep into this stuff to try and get some stories that you're never going to hear, and so I got this one in today, and it was a statistic on air quality in China. And I don't know if you may have seen that or not, but because of the pollutants in China and Beijing and all around there, there are about 5,500 people die a day from lung and respiratory and heart problems caused by the pollution in the air in China. That's about 2 million people a year. Can you believe that?
Yeah, no, I can believe it. In fact, I did was reading some information. Oh God, this was years ago, probably, I don't know, maybe not quite 10 years ago, but 7, 8, 9 years ago, whenever it was, and Walmart. They started expanding. They had their super Walmarts or whatever they're called now, mega Walmarts. I don't know, but they have a huge grocery store on 1/3 of the Walmart, and of course they have all kinds of fruits and vegetables, but they offer an organic section. So they started growing their own organic food on their own farms, which they just decided the best thing to do for Americans was to make those organic farms in China. And those farms, of course, the reports came out, were surrounded by industrial wasteland, and they had everything from acid rain and on pouring down. And the pollution in the air was so bad that although Walmart was growing the food according to organic standards, and so therefore it was certified organic.
Wait a minute, Sean. Stop right there. Are you telling me that in spite of all of that, they were able to ship that produce to the United States and we are eating it?
Yeah, exactly. That's two things about that really disturb me. One is this is obviously a massive corporate loophole that they can go, oh yeah, well, the definition of what it means to be organic, so much space between their farm and other farms that are using non-organic methods, and certain cultivation, don't use the chemicals and all that. And that's great, and they're doing that, but the area around it is so saturated with pollution that stuff is just floating around in the air, and they're getting the acid rain and they're getting all the other stuff coming down, and it's just destroying that food. It isn't destroying it in the sense that you can't eat it, but it is certainly contaminating it.
Okay, I got to. Whoa! You're going way too fast. Take a deep breath, my friend.
I thought I was taking my time.
I'm not letting you move that fast through this thing. Here's the deal: that it has contaminated it. It has ruined it. And you're saying it doesn't make it inedible? Are you kidding me?
No. Yeah, and it's a pretty well-known fact.
Who in the hell gave them permission to send that over here and me to put that crud in my body?
Right, exactly. And you think you're buying organic, you're like, oh, it's Walmart, a supposedly reputable company. I personally, I don't know, can I come out and just
you know what? I don't shop at Walmart, and my wife wouldn't
Walmart.
Step foot in one. So, you can say anything you want.
I hate going to Walmart. I'll stop it before I say what I truly think about them, because I don't want to, end up in a some sort of a slander. But I will go to Walmart only if there's no other option. I just won't go to Walmart. I just won't go there. But yeah, this is one case in point right now. They're selling stuff that's certified organic, but we know that it's got to be contaminated because it's surrounded by.
Okay, so but does it stop at Walmart? What about Ralph's and Vons and Stater Brothers and Safeway and all these other stores? Are they getting their produce from the same places? I know that we get produce from Mexico.
Yeah,
so
sure.
How do I know we're not getting it from China in my local Ralph's over here?
I haven't seen or heard of anyone else. I'm sure there are companies that get stuff from China, but not as their primary source. But Walmart decided to make it their primary source because it was so much cheaper. Of course, their stitch is that they offer everything for less. And remember,
I think we need to
made in America. Their big thing was made in America.
We need to boycott. We need to boycott Walmart for Pete's sake.
Oh, man,
they're thinking about they're not thinking about America. They're not thinking about the quality of what the produce is they're getting. They're thinking about their bottom line and their margins, and they're certainly not thinking about you and me.
No, that's absolutely true. Yeah, and that's certainly true It's probably always been true for the most part, but it's certainly true ever since Sam Walton died.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's definitely not the same store it was. You know, when he was alive, it was.
You know what? I
everything
met
was
Sam
there.
Walton many years ago when I was with the Revlon Corporation. I mean, you'd never know that guy had the billions of dollars that he had. But the one thing I can tell you for absolute certain is that Sam Walton would never have allowed that to happen in his stores. He was dedicated to his customer.
Yeah. His story is really fascinating on how he came about to open Walmarts, and it's just and he is, from what I understand, he was just a great person and ethical and great values, and that was a big part of what drove his success. But yeah, what they're doing nowadays is just, and even on top of the whole contamination of the food thing, you think about is, how long does it take to get food from China to the United States? They're not flying it, that's for sure. It's coming across on ships.
Yeah.
So that means they have to pick the stuff before it's even ripe. Well, it still doesn't have a chance to get ripe.
Did I lose you?
Nutrition. It's the reason why fruit and vegetables get.
You're breaking up on me. I don't know if we got a bad connection or what's going on here, or you've got a loose wire on your connection, but you're breaking up on me here, Sean. Sean? Oh, looks like I lost Sean. He's going to be calling back in just a second, and we'll deal with him when that actually happens. You know, we're going to talk about a lot of things and I think that probably. I've got a shocker for him when we come up with the next thing that's coming on. Now, he's going to call me. He'll call me back in a little bit. But I'm absolutely incensed by the fact that Walmart is trying to send or sell us on organic produce that is raised in a country where 5,000 or 5,500 people a day are dying from the pollution, and that's the same pollution that's actually reaching that produce that we're eating, and they're sending it to us to eat. Now, Sean's back with us again here. I don't know if you can hear us or not. Can you hear us, Sean?
I got you. Yeah, I got you. I have no idea what happened. I was in the middle of some sort of rant, and I don't even know where I was when I lost. All of a sudden, I asked you a question, and you were gone.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you that we were having a problem. I could hear it. I could hear you kind of skipping off, and I couldn't hear you, so I went ahead and took over, and then all of a sudden you skipped off. Hopefully. We're back to stay here. I
was talking about the time that it takes to get the fruits and vegetables from China to the United States and how.
Oh yeah, and by the way, what assurances do we have that the containers they're putting this produce in that is grown in a country that is so polluted that 5,500 people a day are dying? What assurances do we have that the containers they're putting them in are any better than the pollutants that they're exposing us to?
I don't know that we do, and it really is everything about it is just kind of shady, but it's a crazy system. But I want to ask you my question that I was going to ask you.
Oh, good, because on the next segment I've got a twister for you too. So go ahead and hit me with it.
Well, it's my turn. It's my turn to put you on the spot. You may know the answer to this one. You love to cook, so you may actually know. I'm surprised a lot of people don't know this, but do you know the difference between a green bell pepper and a red bell pepper?
Yeah, one's green and one's red.
Let's say it again. One's green, one's red. Yeah. Okay. Besides that, the visual difference. What else?
Well, you know what? If I'm not mistaken, the red bell pepper is a little bit sweeter than the green bell pepper. If you're talking about taste, if you're talking about, I don't know if you're talking about chlorophyll that might be in it that causes that green color, or if the fact that one is aged longer than the other, maybe that's it. I don't know where you're going with it.
Right there, and that's exactly what it was. One is aged longer. A red bell pepper is just the same thing as a green bell pepper. They're the exact same pepper, but the red one has been on the vine longer and it's riper. So if you take a green bell pepper and leave it on the vine, it will eventually turn red because it's ripe. And that's why the red one, and that was the kind of I was saying when I don't know how much of it I got out there, but was when you pick something off the vine before it's ripe, it's devoid of its maximum amount of nutrition. Mm-hmm. It may still have nutrition, but it's not going to be the most of the nutrition you can get from it. The red bell pepper is exactly the same as the green bell pepper, but it's just ripened longer, and so it's sweeter. And that's what nature does. Nature takes things and it gets them to the point where they taste their best when their nutrition in them is maximized.
And so we're talking about them ripening on the vine and not in the box, right?
Right, yeah, you ripen it in the box, and it doesn't draw nutrition from anywhere. It's just it'll continue to ripen, but it won't continue to pull nutrition from the earth. And that's the problem. That's the difference between a green and a red bell pepper.
I'm going to enroll you in an auctioneer class. Even auctioneers take a breath once in a while. You gotta slow down so my brain can catch up with this data you're putting out.
This isn't even what we were going to talk about today, but you got me all excited about this because I hate Walmart so much, and I love to talk about these good foods and how we're just destroying them by not letting them ripen and on and on. So you got me all fired up, Robert.
You know what? That's what I do. I get people fired up. That's what I want to do. But you know what? You want to see fired up. Hang on while John Matthews is on the air, because I've got he and I are going to be talking politics in the next segment. And you can bet it's going to get fired up. Both John and I are so fed up with the political system that we may start our own party, or at least start something going on.
I'm following you, man. I'm right there. I'll be your first voter.
So you know what? We're going to go on a commercial break, and when we come back, I want to read something to you and get your reaction to it. Matter of fact, I'm glad because John is actually hanging on for us now for his segment that's going to come up next, and so he'll hear this too, and he can actually chime in if he chooses to. But I want to read this thing to you. You're going to find it shocking. So don't go away. We're going to be right back with our own Sean Lefebvre and his Geared for Wellness group right after these brief messages. You don't want to miss them. We'll be right back. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own Sean Lefebvre and his Geared for Wellness group. So, Sean, you're upset with China. I'm certainly upset with China, but I'm upset with China for a lot of reasons. I'm upset with them because they're trying to devalue our economy and just ruin our economy. I was on John Matthews' show, The Conservative Syndicate, last night, talking to his co-host, Joe Hakos. And we were talking about what China is doing to our currency and undermining our economy by devaluing the yuan and shoring up the value of the United States dollar, where, all statistics say the dollar should be sinking a little bit, but it keeps going up more value, 3 or 4 cents every day, which makes no sense at all. That's a whole different subject, and John and I will probably talk about that in the next segment. But I read something else today that from a whole different country, and I don't know if you had a chance to see it when you saw the news. And this is about an 11-year-old girl gives birth to a girl in Paraguay. Now, an 11-year-old girl who was denied an abortion after being raped gave birth today, the culmination of a case that put a spotlight on child rape in this poor South American nation and drew criticism from human rights groups. Elizabeth Torrales, a lawyer from the girl's mother, told the Associated Press that the minor gave birth to a baby girl via cesarean in a Red Cross hospital in Asunción, Paraguay's capital. She said reported there were no complications and both the mother and the baby were resting. The baby doesn't yet have a name, said Torrales, who added that her client and the girl's grandmother had requested custody of the infant. Hospital director Mario Villalba told reporters outside the hospital that the birth took about 35 minutes. She said the girl would remain in the hospital for 3 or 4 days like any other patient who had had a cesarean. She said the minor was currently accompanied by her grandmother, but declined to give more details. The girl was allegedly raped and impregnated by her stepfather when she was 10 years old. The stepfather has been arrested and is awaiting trial. The girl's mother has been charged with negligence. And in my opinion, both the stepfather and the girl's mother ought to be sent to Afghanistan and see if we can't have ISIS take care of this issue for us. But I'd like to have your position on it, Sean.
Wow, I don't even, it's just everything about it is just a horrible statement on just, the culture of our world in general. That, first of all, I know that most people are good people. Most people out there couldn't harm a fly. They're wonderful people. They couldn't even imagine doing that to any person, let alone a 10-year-old. And, so it's, when you hear about that, it's horrifying. But to think that someone could look at a little girl like that, to me, it's just mind-boggling. I don't even know what to say about it, to be honest with you. It's terrible. This guy, there's no punishment that this man, if, obviously, if he
I could think of one.
He was raped.
I could think of one, and I'd be willing to do the execution of it.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's anything you could do to this guy that makes up for what he did to this girl.
And as bad as this sounds, and where I'm leading with it, because this is just absolutely horrific, as bad as it sounds, what Middle Easterners do to women and young girls and children is just as horrible and atrocious. There's just no respect for human life And they're saying, well, it's because you're a girl, you're worth nothing, right? Matter of fact, the same thing goes on in China, doesn't it? They try to control the number of girls that are there and the number of births that can take place. China's getting a little bit better with it, but they're still controlling that, how many children a family can have, and they're trying to restrict the number of female births that are there. You know, what kind of world do we live in?
Yeah, it's an absolutely unbelievably messed up world, and every single person who I know who has adopted a child from China, it's always been a girl. And you're right, they devalue. In fact, they say in China that the problem they're going to have is they're going to have all these young guys that are growing up and they're becoming young men, and they're not going to have a lot of female options available to them.
Yeah,
they're either going to have to live a life of celibacy, or one girl is going to be, you know, taking care of a lot of guys, or these guys are going to become homosexuals, or they're going to have to move to another country. You know, they're saying what a big problem this is, and I understand, you know, logically speaking, you know, well, if you only get one, a boy or a girl, well, you know, boys, you know, if you work in the field, you know, obviously they're physically capable of doing harder, more manual labor, and on and on. And there's a lot of reasons. Maybe they want to keep around their family name, but what a terrible decision to make. You know, I mean, you've heard the stories of, you know, the lucky ones are the ones that get put up for adoption, as opposed to the ones that end up getting stuck out in the woods and left there and die.
Yeah.
And you know, but yeah, something like this, you know, in it was in Paraguay was where it happened.
Yes.
This little girl, I just, first of all, it boggles my mind that a 10-year-old
girl. By the way, and I didn't read the whole thing. It actually went on to say that the grandmother had applied to the government for an abortion for the 10-year-old girl. Because she was worried about her health and her ability to have the baby, and which is what actually necessitated the cesarean section. She couldn't give natural birth.
Oh yeah, God, her hips would be way too small.
Yeah,
yeah.
And the government denied that under the premise that in Paraguay, it is absolutely illegal to have an abortion unless the mother's health is detrimental to the mother's health. And in this case, the cesarean section made up the difference. But how do we protect children? I'm not advocating abortion, but I am in support of some exceptions to the right to life. I'm not sure whose life was most important, the 10-year-old girl or the baby.
Yeah, well, in this case, fortunately, it turned out all right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they were able to do C-section. Yeah, if it wasn't for C-section, this girl probably would never have survived.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
You know, and it's such a terrible thing. And, you know, like we both said, you know, I think we both agree there's no punishment harsh enough for this man for what he's done. And, you know, I think that even if they knew what the punishment was, I think that people who are willing to do something like that don't care about the
I'll tell you what, that stepfather ought to be sent to Afghanistan, turned over to ISIS, and have them start with the knife and start with his testicles and then his penis and then go to his throat.
Yeah, well, they probably applaud him. Like, all right, guy who knows how to treat a girl. You know, like that's unfortunately that's their culture. In Saudi Arabia, it's legal to if a man is married and his wife does not want to have sex with him, it is legal for him to physically beat her into submission, you know? And that's just, you know, like when people talk about...
Oh, wait a minute, is that wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
What happened?
Well, I didn't realize that was wrong.
Oh, you didn't realize it was... Yeah. Yeah. I didn't say it was wrong, I just said that that's the law.
You know, I actually have to step back and let everybody know I know that that's wrong. I was just trying to be humorous here.
Of course, yeah, I know you know it is, and of course we all know it is. But you know, it's just it's you know, and really, when I see what's going on in this country, you know, we've got all these people defending, and I have nothing against anybody of any religion. You know, I've got Muslim friends, I've got friends of every walk of life you can imagine. And so, you know, when I say that what I'm about to say, it's not that I'm anti-Islam or anti-Muslim or anything like that, but we have a war going on in this country. We've got Muslims that are killing, you know, they just killed these military guys a couple of weeks ago, and on and on. And there are Muslims in this country, and I know we want to call them radical, extreme Muslims, whatever you want to call them, that they're and some of them aren't even radical extremists that would cut your head off. They're just people who just really want to bring in their religion, and they want to bring Sharia law to this country. And what kills me is the same people who stand up for women's rights, and they're usually you're talking, you're more left liberal-minded people that are standing up for women's rights are also standing up and saying that that Christians are beating down these Muslims and it's not fair, and they're supporting all of this movement. And I'm going, do you have any idea what this means to women if Sharia law takes foothold in this country? It will change the face of this country massively, because any country that's run by extreme Muslims is women just don't do well.
So here's the thing. We are a nation of laws, but reasonable laws that are created by 535 legislators that we elect to represent us, even though they don't appear to be doing that. And we are a free country, and we have the freedom to practice our religion and have our own beliefs and freedom of speech. And I recognize that. But you know what? The freedom of religion stops with you. You can do whatever you want religiously, but you know what? You can't force me to have those same beliefs. You can't force me to kneel down to Muhammad if that's not what I believe in. And you know what?
Yeah.
And if what your whole dream in life is to make sure that I stop breathing, you know what? I think I need to get to you before you get to me.
And that's exactly it. You've got to preemptively go in and stop this before it becomes such a big problem that you can't manage it anymore. And that's what I see happening. I see that we're just letting little bits and little bits and little bits slide by to the point, where they're going. In fact, we just, what was that? Remember the big steel beam that looked like a cross that was at Ground Zero after the towers came down?
Yes.
And then everyone said, oh, and it was funny. The same country that, just not long, how long ago was that? That was, 14 years ago?
Yeah.
That just wants to continuously beat down religion and Christianity especially. We were all looking at that cross as a symbolism of hope and the strength and the move forward. And actually they took that and they cut it out, of course, and they saved it. And that's now become a part of the Ground Zero Memorial. And there was a big fight that a lot of people didn't want it in Ground Zero. And
this country was formed on
secular
remembering. This country was formed on Christian beliefs, and even though we recognize that everybody has the right to practice their own religion, but we are a country of that believes in the morals and the ethics that were created by Christians. And the thing is that. That cross it was just it was sort of like a catalyst for Americans, something for us all to come together and say, hey, we all believe in the same thing and the same fairness. Now let's go after those bastards.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, I just heard John Kerry just recently. He was making a statement. I'm so sick of these guys saying that, the war on global warming or climate change or whatever the term is they want to use nowadays is, our biggest threat, and on. And he's going on. And he says, in the countries we need, as Americans, we need to fight. The Bible, he was even throwing in the Bible, says that we need to go in and fight this global warming fight. That it's mandated. And he goes, the countries that are going to get hit the hardest are the Muslim countries. And I thought to myself, when I heard him say that, I said, why is it okay for John Kerry to stand up and talk about Muslim countries like it's a good thing, but when someone talks about America and they say this is a Christian country, everyone says, you need to go back in your hole, you archaic monster, you're just a Bible-thumping Jesus freak, and they attack these people. And I'm not one of these people that's like a big Bible-thumping Jesus freak myself, but I'm going, if we can sit there and recognize other countries as Muslim countries, because that's what their country was built on, why do we not found history? And we're running out of time, so maybe that's where we're just going to end it right there. Maybe we'll pick this up on Tuesday, Robert.
Hey, it sounds good. We had a great show today, Sean. I appreciate you being on here. You have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
You bet, Robert. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Now, don't go away, because coming up next is my good buddy, John Matthews, with his Conservative Syndicate Corner. And actually, before I put him on the air, I'll put him on the air before I do that. I have something I want to read for him, too, that he'll appreciate. He'll probably ask for a copy of it down the road. But in the meantime, do not go away, because we're going to be right back in a brief moment with my good buddy, John Matthews, and his Conservative Syndicate Corner. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:07 p.m. Pacific time. It is currently 100 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Now it's going to go down to 71. That's the temperature I want to get to, but it was as high as 108 here today, and that's horrible. But you know what? If we're talking about heat, here's a guy that can heat you up. He's on the radio every Monday through Wednesday on the conservativesyndicate.net from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. And you know what? You owe it to yourself to listen to this man's show. He'll give you a perspective that'll have you saying to yourself, oh, gee, I didn't know that, or God, I didn't think about it that way. That's my good buddy John Matthews. Let's get him in here and see what John has got to say for us today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. John Matthews. Hey, John, welcome aboard. Good to have you here. I missed you last night.
Oh, well,
Well, I know why. I just,
I missed you guys. If you knew where I was at, you'd probably know why I missed being on the show last night.
I know where you're at, and my condolences. But we had a great time last night. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Joe or not, but we had a super time for an hour last night.
Oh, yeah, I did, actually. And actually, I listened to the archive this morning when I got up. You guys did a great job. And Joe was a little concerned. He said, I didn't really give Bob a lot of time. And well, Bob, when it comes to money, he thinks on his feet. Just throw it at him. He can deal with it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that wasn't a problem at all. Hey, I've got something I found today, and you're probably going to ask for a copy of it because you'll probably want to put it on your blog, and I'll send it off to you. But I think it's something that you're really going to appreciate. It only take me a moment to get over this thing because I know how interested you are in anything Benghazi. And this was written by a Marine, and it's called A Bump in the Road. And I don't know if you've ever heard this. And it says, do you recall the president referring to the Benghazi incident as a bump in the road? Well, today I heard an ex-Navy SEAL being on Fox News regarding a book that he had written about how to handle crisis situations in our lives. At the end of the interview, he asked if he could make a comment on Benghazi, and of course the anchor said yes. He then thanked Fox News for keeping the Benghazi story in the news, since other news organizations are not. He said the SEALs who died deserved the public knowing the truth about the whole affair. He wrote a poem, and the poem was written by an anonymous Marine Corps officer, and it goes like this, John. The battling boys of Benghazi. We're the battling boys of Benghazi, no fame, no glory, no paparazzi. Just a fiery death in a blazing hell, defending our country we loved so well. It wasn't our job, but we answered the call, fought for the consulate and scaled the wall. We pulled 20 countrymen from jaws of fate, led them to safety and stood at the gate. Just the two of us and foes by the score, but we stood fast to bar the door. 3 calls for reinforcement, but all were denied. So we fought and we fought and we fought till we died. We gave our all for our Uncle Sam, but Barack and Hillary didn't give a damn. Just 2 dead SEALs who carried the load. No thanks to us. We were just bumps in the road.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me want to weep, John.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, makes me want to weep because it is so true. And
Well,
every day, we hear about more of this crud that gets hidden, more of this, they talk about transparency, but it's transparency mixed with mud. You can't see through it for anything. And they just keep lying to us like we're mental idiots out there.
Well, I think Joe and I were actually having a conversation a couple hours ago. He was kind of recapping me on some things, and this conversation kind of came up between us when we were talking about, I'm kind of hot right now on this Hillary email thing and been doing a lot of reading on it and stuff. And, I was saying, the thing here with the Democrat Party in particular, and to some degree, I believe it has infiltrated and infected the Republican Party. And that is, you get to some point in time where you just really think that within yourself that whatever you say, people are going to believe. And the Democrat Party has become, for the most part, a party of idiots. The people will believe whatever they're told. They don't really want to take the time to find out what the truth is, or if the truth becomes too uncomfortable. I was reading today about a couple of senators dealing with this Planned Parenthood fiasco who refused to look at the videos. They're like, we're not going to look at the videos because we don't believe it's happening. I mean, now that is the kind of mentality that you deal with today with too many people in our population. And unfortunately, a lot of these people still vote. I've come to believe that perhaps not only our electorate, but we need to have politicians take a test on the Constitution before you get the vote. I think there needs to be something done here. But getting back to what you're saying here, when something like this comes up, it is indicative of the fact that some people really are so overwhelmed with truth when something like this comes up, Planned Parenthood, Benghazi, these things where people die because of decisions that are being made by people in positions of authority. And it's so contrary and so opposite of what we've learned and what we've come to believe as Americans that we just, something in our mind just tells us it can't be true.
Yeah.
And so it must be fabricated, this whole concept of vast right-wing conspiracies creating all these things just to take down America's first half-white president, that kind of stuff. It is so indicative of where we're at. And the fact that these men, by all indications, should never have died because of the reason the consulate was attacked and the reason the ambassador of these SEALs all died was that in and of itself is a cover-up. It's just not the Benghazi cover-up of what caused it and whether or not reinforcements were told to stand down. It was what was going on in the consulate that caused the attack in the first place is the cover-up. And so what you got is these people have become so sociopathic that they actually believe their own stuff now. So our president can stand in front of you and say, I just got you the best deal in the world with Iran. Of course they're going to get a bomb, and they might be able to use some of the money we're giving them for terrorism, but that does not detract from the fact I just got the best deal you're going to get. And you listen to this stuff and go, where do you get this kind of reasoning? Well, the fact of the matter is there is no reasoning. They have become delusional.
Well, I actually subscribe to. I heard somebody say one time something that I actually could support, and that is, if Iran wants a nuclear bomb, I really think we ought to send them a couple.
Oh, I think we ought to send them a bunch. I've been saying.
No, we don't need to send them a bunch. Two would do it with the kind of stuff we have now.
Well, I think we should just do the whole 1040 window and let's get it over with. I have always been a believer that I joke about it, but I sincerely believe that the biggest problem we have in the Middle East is that we keep thinking that something's going to change over there, and the time has come to we just say, you know what, let's clean it up. Let's take a vacuum cleaner in there and let's just clean it up. Well, what about all the innocent lives? What about if you guys, if there are so many moderate Islamic Muslims. And you don't want to rise up and do something about what you say you don't agree with, then you deserve to become collateral damage. I mean, I've never been able to grasp the concept of a society that is under tyrannical totalitarian rule, and you've got a small handful of people controlling everything, and you've got millions of people suffering because of it, and nobody gets up and does anything. I guess because we're Americans and our whole history is based on a handful of people standing up one day and saying, okay, enough is enough.
Well, doesn't it make you feel like they just think we're so gullible they can say anything they want to say? I mean, it just drives me nuts.
I think I do. I believe our too many people I'm going to use Romney's number, 47% of people in this country that vote for Democrats. And they do it out of ignorance. And they have no notion of what they don't know. That is the definition of deception. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And Ron Reagan, he capitalized it. I guess capsulated it the best when he said it isn't that liberals are stupid. It's just that so much of what they know is wrong. and that describes the Democrat electorate. It's so much of what they know is wrong, but that's all they know because that's all they care to know. They don't see the underpinnings. They don't see what's going on behind the curtains. They don't understand that their freedoms are being stripped from them as their leaders are telling them they're giving them more freedom. And they don't see the correlation because they don't understand what freedom costs anymore. We've got in some cases 3-4 generations removed from having to serve in the military.
Yeah.
And because of that, they have no concept. They don't understand what the price of freedom is. They don't understand when people go out and these men died in Benghazi, what they were actually dying for. They just don't grasp it. because they've been told it's not a big deal. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. Just give us more of your liberty. We'll take care of you. You won't have to worry about being free because
one of the things that's happening to us. We have to go on a commercial break, and when we come back, I've got a couple of comments to make. But one of the things is that I honestly believe is happening to us from especially this administration is that they keep chipping away at our constitutional rights, not our privileges, our rights. So I want to talk to you about that and Debbie Wasserman Schultz when we come back from this commercial break, John. We'll be right back with my good buddy John Matthews and his conservative syndicate right after these brief messages. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Dental Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. I'm talking to my good buddy John Matthews from the Conservative Syndicate Corner. And you can listen to John on his show every Monday through Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time, where he's actually going to talk about conservative politics. But the truth is, he's a very reasonable guy. It's not that he doesn't believe in everything that the Democrats do. It's just most things that they do are wrong, is what he said before, and it's absolutely true. One of the things, John, that I wanted to mention to you, I was watching the political pundit show Joe this morning, and they had a preview of something that's going to be on the Chris Matthews show tonight. And it was an interview that Chris Matthews is doing with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the chairman of the DNC. And Matthews stopped her and he says, look, I got a problem here. I just don't know what the answer to this is. Can you tell me the difference between the Democratic Party and socialism? And she couldn't do it.
Well, she could. It's not that she couldn't, it's that she wouldn't.
I'm losing you, John.
I said it's not that she couldn't, it's that she wouldn't.
Yeah.
There is no difference, and they cannot admit that. There's going to come a place in time where they're going to have to answer this question. It may not be during their primary season, but it will certainly come up in the election, the general election process, because Chris Matthews opened the can. He opened the can of worms by asking Wasserman Schultz. Now, she's somewhere down the line here. Whoever ends up with the nomination for the Democrats is going to have to answer that as they stand across their Republican rivals. And it's going to be interesting. Sanders would have no problem defining what that is, but nobody's asking Sanders what the difference is. This has to do with Hillary. And I think it all plays into a lot of what's going on with her campaign right now. I do believe we are at this juncture where the Hillary Clinton campaign is going to be thrown under the bus. I do not see her at this point making it to the primary. There's too much going on outside of Benghazi, as you mentioned earlier. Still has not been resolved. And when this email stuff that's going on right now, should it continue down the path it's going, and I'm saying should it because I don't know that it will, there's going to be some questions that have to be answered that is going to really, really, really put her in the spot. And by putting her in the spot, the Democrats risk everything. We have to remember that there are twice as many Republican senators coming up for re-election in 2016 as there are Democrats.
Yeah, but the Republican Party is not doing anything to ensure their re-election.
Well, they have to. Because if they do not, let's say hypothetically they lose 3 or 4 more seats in the Senate and come 2016, they get that filibuster-proof Senate for the Republicans. Not that the Republicans would do anything with it. We've seen that that doesn't seem to be having majority doesn't seem to motivate them too much. Yeah. But the idea being is that it does put a stop. It puts everything to a dead stop. And not only that, it provides, if everything comes to a stop in terms of what the Democrat agenda is, or the liberal agenda is, then people have time to start looking at other things. And that's when all the hidden stuff that's been hidden and been, we've all been distracted from, all the shiny objects disappear, and we start looking at reality. Sanders is on the rise in the same way that Trump is on the rise in the Republican Party.
Well, you know what the difference between Sanders and Trump is, right? It's just one thing. The difference between Sanders and Trump is $8 billion.
Well, the difference between, the money is obviously the thing, but here's the thing, though. With Sanders is tapped into the Democrat anchor. People seem to think that Democrats are happy. They're not. They're the leftist brand of the Democrat Party. The left-wing radicals, extremists, since they refer to us as the right-wing extremists, they're not happy that Obama didn't go completely, totally socialist, Marxist, communist, whatever it is you want to brand this guy. They're upset that he didn't go farther with executive orders. He's upset that he didn't tear up more of the Constitution. And Sanders is that guy that's out there saying, "Hey, you get me in here, I'll do it." So Sanders has definitely destroyed Clinton's the college demographic, something that Obama has worked so hard to get. And I think that's why what we're looking at right now is a distinct possibility that Hillary Clinton's days are numbered. I think Biden is going to throw his hat into the ring here. I think Sanders is going to continue to soak up votes and influence. I said that I think the largest rally I've seen with Clinton is 5,000 people. Bernie Sanders is averaging between 12 and 15,000 every time he goes someplace.
Oh yeah, he had 28,000 people in Los Angeles. Of course, the size of Los Angeles, you got to take that into account. But he still had 28,000 people in Los Angeles show up at the last minute to see him.
You can't get 280 people to show up for the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Yeah, and he didn't have to pay him. Yeah, and he didn't have to pay him. But I got to tell you, as much as I support what you're saying, I just think it's wishful thinking. I do think that Hillary Clinton is going to survive all this stuff, and she's going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party. She hadn't begun to start fighting yet. She hadn't done anything.
Well, if she survives this email thing, then perhaps that's true. But one thing that's going on with this email thing, because I really wanted to say this before you knock me off the air tonight, this thing with her email server, I think they're going to find. I think she may just walk away from this thing. I have already read enough on this. Is what's going on. She's going to say none of the emails were marked classified, so she didn't know they were classified. She's going to blame it on her staff. Her staff is the problem. She's going to blame it on. She's already saying, well, there's other people that have done it. There's governors that have done it. Use private email. I don't know what governors have to do with top secret information, but she's going to try to play it off in such a way as she's going to basically be able to stand up and say, "Gee, guys, I just didn't know." And because of the fact, I think one or two of her staff members, whether it is what's her name, I can't pronounce the woman's name, Huma Abedin.
Yeah, I can't think of her name either. My biggest My biggest problem with Hillary is I just don't believe anything she says.
Well, no, but I think one of the things that we're going to find, I think when they got this drive now, supposedly, I don't think they're going to find anything on it other than maybe Bill Clinton's URL porn sites or maybe pictures of Anthony Weiner. I don't think they're going to find too much on it now because it's been wiped clean.
Yeah,
and she's just going to basically say, "Oh, I just didn't know. I didn't know that my staff was sending me classified documents." That kind of stuff. And if she walks away from that, if people buy it and she doesn't get slapped, she may survive. If she doesn't,
I got to tell you, John, here's the thing. I got to tell you, do you honestly, and I know you don't, but I mean, do you honestly in your mind, and I'm saying it this way because I want my listeners to hear it this way, really believe that somebody could climb to that stature? She was First Lady of the United States. She was the United States Senator. She was the Secretary of State. She's running for president. Do you really believe that she could have attained those levels and been so naive as to believe that she was doing nothing wrong with this server?
Oh, absolutely not. I think what overrode her ethics, if she has any, is the idea that she thinks that everybody's out to get her. So that was it's like Nixon's tape recorder. He taped everything because he thought everybody's out to get me. It's paranoia. Paranoia sets in when you're evil. Paranoia takes over at some point in time, and it's just the way it is. And I think she did that for self-preservation. She didn't want anybody knowing what she was doing because it puts her up. It puts her under the spotlight. She doesn't want to be in the spotlight. She wants to operate carte blanche, do what she wants to do, and nobody should question her because she's been around for so long.
Yeah, she instead of running for president, she ought to be working for the CIA. Well,
I think she should go back to chucking chickens back in Arkansas. I found it really funny. She attacked Carly Fiorina about being fired from Hewlett Packard, and my first thought in my mind, does anybody remember that Hillary Clinton was fired from the law firm she worked for? And she was fired because of her ethics.
Well, you know what? I hadn't thought about that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'd totally forgotten all about that.
Yeah, she was fired. The guy that she worked for, so we fired her because of her ethics. We didn't like what she was doing. She was doing things without telling us. Gee, does that sound familiar? So and she's never run a company. Who is she attacking Carly Fiorina or Donald Trump because of how they run their business? She's never done anything like that. And the business she did work for got rid of her because she was unethical. So what's the big deal there?
Yeah.
It doesn't. But when you're a professional politician, you made your mark. People look at you, and I guess they respect you to some degree. And you just think you get to a point where you just think, I can do what I want to do, and it doesn't make any difference. And Nixon coined it best when he was interviewed and finally confessed to Watergate. He said, "Well, when the president does it, it's not illegal." That's the thinking. And it's like, I'm the Secretary of State. I was married to the president. I've been a senator. Hey, whatever I do is okay. It's cool. It's not unethical when I do it. And
Yeah.
it's just the nature of the beast these days. And if nothing else, it teaches us. It just continues to reinforce the idea that if we let anybody stay in Congress for more than 2 terms doing anything, they're going to go bad.
Yeah.
They're going to go bad because that's just the way it is. That's the way the system is. Nobody is strong enough to stand up against 30, 35, 40, 50 years in politics, and you're going to tell me you're as clean as the day you walked in?
Well, regardless of what you may or may not think of Trump, when he was talking about that, he was actually telling the truth, and that is that, he gave lots of money to all the congressmen because he needed them on his side, which tells us that all the congressmen have been bought and paid for. So you're right. If they're staying there more than 2 terms, they're not representing us anymore.
I admire Donald Trump as a businessman. I admire his willingness to step out there and call things as they are. I just personally don't think that translates into the qualities of a leader that we want. I
agree with you, John. I agree with you there. I think he's a tremendous businessman, and I'm glad, though, that he's there because the issues that he's bringing about wouldn't even be discussed if it weren't for him. We talk about the debates. There's no debates. We're actually talking about these commentators got more airtime than what the people running for president got, and it's all about ratings. They didn't. Nowhere in the debates did you hear about the economy or health care or the immigration or Social Security or anything. You don't hear anything. There's nothing being debated, and we're not hearing anybody's solution to anything.
No, because at this point in time, it's all about getting Jeb Bush at the top of the ticket. That's the assignment right now. Let's get Jeb back out there. Let's get somebody like John Kasich and somebody like that. Let's get us an establishment back in that place. We need another Mitt Romney. That's what the establishment wants. We need another.
Okay, so listen, we've only got about 30 seconds, and I need to test something because I'm getting some comments from people saying they're having a tough time hearing you and understanding you. Are you too far away from your microphone? Are you moving around? We're getting some tinny stuff, and then you kind of go off the air and you come back on the air. Can you move closer to your microphone? Let me see if there's a difference there.
Well, it might be my phone. I've got a phone up to my ear.
Okay.
I might be moving my head. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, that's probably what's going on. Anyway, my friend, this was terrific. Give your information about your show, will you?
Just go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and you can find everything you want to know about us: the dates, the times, the stations we're on, the people that are on our panel, and our bios on the panel. It's all there. Just go to theconservativesyndicate.net. Everything you want to know about us is right there, right? And it's really easy. Everything's downloadable. Some of it downloads on its own. You get the show right away if you get to the site. That's the best way to find us.
And I want to tell you, this is a fantastic show, folks. You don't want to miss this. It's the conservativesyndicate.net, and you can listen to them live. My good buddy, John Matthews. Hey, John, thank you, my friend. It's always a great segment when you're on.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate the compliment.
All right, my friend, you have a wonderful weekend. And don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to be talking about the birthdays for today. Got some surprises there. The secret daily teachings for your life, the Harvard Business Tip of the Day, and interesting but useless facts. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:40 p.m. Pacific time, currently 100 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what today is, right? Sure, it's August the 13th, and it's somebody's birthday. Well, here's somebody we all know. He was born in 1899, died in 1980. A filmmaker and producer best known for the use of suspense and the gallows humor that became his trademark, often regarded as the greatest British filmmaker of all time. Happy birthday, Mr. Alfred Hitchcock. And here's one for you. He actually shares this birthday, not the same year, but the same day with Alfred Hitchcock. He was born in 1926. He's a Cuban revolutionary and politician who became a familiar name during the Bay of Pigs invasion in the early 60s. Happy birthday to Mr. Fidel Castro. Well, what happened today in history? Boy, lots of stuff. In 1918, women enlist in the United States Marine Corps for the very first time. Opha May Johnson is the first woman to enlist. And in 1997, South Park's first episode aired for all of you fans of South Park. And in 2008, Michael Phelps sets the Olympic record for most gold medals won by an individual in Olympic history with his win in the men's 200-meter butterfly. Well, here's our quote for today, and it comes from Pablo Picasso. He says, "Bad artists copy. Good artists steal." Yeah, that's actually a great quote, right? Well, let's talk about those secret daily teachings for your life. And, you know, you've heard me say it many times. It's all about having a positive mental attitude, and that's what's going to change your life. You know what? You can change your life and the lives of everyone around you, everybody you touch, just by having a positive mental attitude. You can make your day better. You can make it happier. You can make it more effective. You can make it more productive. You can do all those things just by believing that you can do it. Now, the actual teaching for today comes from Charles Hanel. He was born in 1866, died in 1949. And he says, there is no limit to what this law can do for you. Dare to believe in our own ideal. Think of the ideal as an already accomplished fact. You know what they call that? Yep, a positive mental attitude. That's what they call it. Well, time for the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the management tip today is make networking events easier. Yeah. You know, the benefits of networking, meeting new people and learning interesting new ideas are invaluable. But if you, like many others, hate having to initiate awkward conversations with strangers, find an approach that makes you comfortable. Try bringing a friend. When you have a wingman to help highlight your accomplishments at events, it can give you the confidence that you need to approach others. Just avoid spending the entire evening talking to that one person. And preparing a few opening lines, develop a few questions to help you kickstart a dialogue. What's the coolest thing you're working on right now? How do you spend most of your time? How did you hear about this particular event? And finally, researching in advance. It's easier to talk to someone if they don't feel like a stranger. Looking up speakers and attendees ahead of time will help you come up with topics of conversation. You'll find your networking will be 100 times more efficient and effective. Mark my words, I know from which I speak. Well, time for our interesting but useless facts, and we've got a number of them here for you today. Hope that you enjoy them all. And you know what? Matter of fact, I know you're going to enjoy them all. I don't know why I have to hope that. That's just kind of a done deal, right? How about this? LASER stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Yep, laser. That's where that came from. Did you know that in Utah, birds have the right of way on all highways? That's the law. You can cuss and swear at them, but they got the right of way. How about this? Did you know that in New Jersey, it's illegal to sell handcuffs to minors? I don't know. Did you know that Colgate faced a big obstacle marketing toothpaste in Spanish-speaking countries because Colgate translates as, go hang yourself. I guess that would be a problem, right? Did you know that household bleach is the recommended chemical to decontaminate people exposed to the anthrax virus by the United States Federal Drug Administration? Household bleach. Wow. I wonder if it works. It must, I suppose, at least a little bit. You know, forest fires move faster uphill than downhill. That's a fact. That I know. How about this? Did you know that an eagle can attack, kill, and carry away an animal as large as a small deer? An eagle. Can you imagine that? Amazing. Here's one. The average person's left hand does 56% of the typing. That's interesting. Did you know that in Massachusetts, it is illegal to go to bed without first having a full bath? I guess you call the bath police, right? The bedroom police? I don't know what you'd call them. Anyway, did you know that there are only 4 flavors of plain M&M? Let me try that again. There are only 4 flavors of plain M&M, okay? How about this one? Camel's milk cannot curdle. That's interesting. I wonder if it tastes like regular milk. Don't know. You know, the word goodbye came from God-bye, which came from God be with you. That's kind of interesting. Think about it. Let me leave you with this. Did you know that babies start dreaming even before they're born? Now, give that some thought. What do they have to dream about? I haven't got a clue. Think about it. That'll drive you nuts. And we'll be right back with, I'll be answering your emails right after these brief messages. First one comes from Ethan Lee from Carson, California, asking about a home refinance. I'll tell you all about it. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:52 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 100 degrees. That's down from 104 degrees on its way to 70 here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, we're coming down to the wire. It's time for our emails, and I want to remind you this is an entertainment section of the show. The reason for that is that the emails that you send in sometimes are just missing a little bit of data. They're a little sketchy sometimes. I do the best I can at answering your questions, but you know what? Always encourage you to go to a licensed professional to get those questions answered. You know, they're going to save you more money than they're going to cost you, and they're going to give you peace of mind and let you sleep at night, because one of the conditions of them being licensed is that they carry errors and omissions insurance. So if they give you the wrong answer, they got to pay the piper, not you, which means that you don't have to worry about registered mail or somebody ringing your doorbell or tapping you on the shoulder at night. You can sleep well because somebody else is going to have to pay for that mistake. Well, as I said before, first email comes from Ethan Lee from Carson, California, asking about a home refinance and says, I want to refinance my home and also take out some money since it has gone up in value. But I'm told a deductible refinancing plan cannot be larger than the amount of the loan used to buy the home plus $100,000. If I used a $300,000 loan to buy my home, can I deduct interest on a new loan of up to $400,000? Well, Ethan, answer to your question is no, you can't do that. If you refinance your original home loan, you can deduct mortgage interest on a new loan amount that is equal to the remaining balance of the original loan plus $100,000, assuming there's no other home equity loan in place. Now, so if the original loan that you used to acquire the house was $300,000, like you say, and you've paid that loan balance down to $175,000, you can deduct mortgage interest on a new loan of up to $275,000. That's the balance plus the $100,000. So hopefully that answers your question for you. Next email comes from Ryan Moretti from Roswell, Georgia, asking about charitable contributions and says, I received no deduction for my charitable gifts on my tax return. The standard deduction was larger than my charitable deduction, so I would have lost money filing an itemized return to claim them. It doesn't seem right that one gets the standard deduction even with no gifts to charity. Is there any way to deduct my charitable gifts? Well, Ryan, no. The answer to your answer, I'm afraid you can't do that. And this points out a trap, by the way. You know, at year end, many charities solicit deductible contributions, but gifts to charity saves taxes only if you file an itemized tax return, and most taxpayers don't. Matter of fact, only about 25% of the taxpayers in this country itemize their deductions. Now, a benefit from filing an itemized deduction, your total deductions, including gifts to charity, must exceed the standard deduction for you, and so, or you and your spouse if you're married. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, a gift to charity saves you no tax at all. So give that. You know, if you're not itemizing, it's not going to save you tax. Do it because you want to do it for good reasons. Now, next email comes from Hamza Rashid from Fall River, Massachusetts, asking about foreign outsourcing and says, suppose my small business outsources some computing work to a foreign firm. Are there any special rules that must be followed to prove the cost incurred and to be able to deduct it? Well, Hansa, no, you don't have to do that. The rules are the same as if you contracted that work to a domestic business. You need to have proof of payment, such as canceled checks, and documentation showing that it was made to a legitimate business services supplier, the name and contact information for the foreign firm, and the business product or service that was actually received in return, such as what would be specified on an invoice when you get one. Now, legitimate business expenses paid to a foreign firm are just as deductible as those paid to U.S. firms. So keep that in mind. Just going to make sure that you always keep all that data that you need. Last email comes from Jocelyn Rodriguez from Sanford, Maine, asking about IRA contributions and writes, on my tax return, I see where to report a contribution to a regular IRA, but not to a Roth IRA. Am I missing something? How does one report a Roth IRA contribution to the IRS? Jocelyn, you're not missing anything. Annual contributions to Roth IRAs are not deductible and don't affect the tax bill, so they're not reported on the tax return. If you're eligible to make a contribution, you simply make it and keep appropriate records for the account. Now take note, while a Roth contribution won't affect the tax bill, it may qualify you to take a retirement savings contribution as credit that reduces taxes. Now, to be eligible, adjusted gross income must not exceed $50,000 on a joint return or $25,000 on a single one. Other rules apply too, so for more details, go to get the instructions from IRS Form 8880. That's credit for qualified retirement savings and contributions. You'll be glad that you did that. I want to thank you for listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. Robert Cardoza Live broadcasts on Spreaker Radio, Roar 1776 Radio, Live 365 Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide, Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time, and on 405 Media Radio Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific Time.
Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com and email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com, where I get all the emails I deal with here on the show. On my next show, my expert contributor is going to be David Garrett in his series, Garrett on the Law. My special guest, Dr. Stephen Tidwell, with his series, Tomorrow's Dentistry Today. I encourage you to tell all your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? That's our show for today. Credibility. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then, when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I enjoyed producing it for you. Don't forget to join me again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific Time for another installment of Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. I apologize for that commercial break that snuck in when we were supposed to be closing the show. In the meantime, stay happy, stay safe, be good, and have a wonderful evening. Good night, everybody.